Senate Minority Leader Jessica Cruz gave an embarrassing and a humiliating attempt at an opposition to the Senate resolution marking the Day of Reason in Rhode Island by misattributing a quote to James Madison that was actually from a Yale dean in the 1950s.
But Madison also wrote, quote, "We have staked the future of American civilization upon the capacity of each and every one of us to govern ourselves according to the moral principles of the 10 Commandments."
By making random appeals to scientists who were personally religious, even though that has nothing to do with anything.
George Lemaitre, I probably pronounced his name wrong, was the first person who proposed what we call now the Big Bang. Did you know he was a Catholic priest?
And by mischaracterizing the purpose of the resolution as setting faith and science as enemies, even though that wasn't the purpose of the resolution and none of the language suggested that.
A premise that is stated quietly, not overtly, not even directly. The premise is that faith and reason are enemies.
And, as well, there are going to be religious leaders, speakers who aren't atheists, at the celebration of the Day of Reason tomorrow at the State House. She did this all in a statement where she called us historically ignorant, despite, again, attributing a 1950s quote to James Madison. I don't know if you know, he was around a little bit before then, by the way, and calling Neil deGrasse Tyson deGrasse.
And the Gregorian calendar. This one I learned by Tyson deGrasse.
In a way that made me want to jump out of my window, which fortunately is not very high off the ground. It's a little rich that she would mention Neil deGrasse Tyson, both while getting his name wrong and also not realizing that he's not exactly a fan of religion. Quite a critic, actually. You should maybe look it up before you try to name drop him in your speech. She invoked his name to make some reference to the Gregorian calendar as some amazing scientific thing that the Catholics and the Christians did. I don't know exactly what she thought the Gregorian calendar had to do with any of this, but apparently she cared enough about it to lie about knowing who Tyson deGrasse is. Oh, I only know about the Gregorian calendar because of Tyson deGrasse. Yeah, bro, I'm sure you did. You clearly know exactly who that is, and I'm sure your staffer wrote that statement up for you real nice. I would die. I would just have too much shame. But Republicans don't have shame, so I guess it must be easier for them, you know. It solves a lot of their problems. I know, and I'm not saying this is what happened, but I know if your only interactions with Neil deGrasse Tyson are that you saw him explain leap days on the Joe Rogan show, you might not have a full grasp of what you're talking about, but maybe if you want to bring it up in your speech, maybe know a little bit more about the subject matter, especially when you're calling other people illiterate, because the literacy is not quite there, in my opinion. I don't know. The media literacy, the historical literacy, the literacy, all of it's absent from this opposition. Misattributing a quote from the Yale dean in the 1950s to James Madison in the 1700s to make the false argument that James Madison wanted the foundation of the American government to be on the 10 Commandments. The most embarrassing thing about the fake James Madison quote fiasco is that we have to ask ourselves, where did she get this information? Because we can't even say that she Googled it and got the wrong answer and didn't check her source. Because if you try to Google it, you will see nothing but pages and pages of sources and articles about historians debunking this claim. So we have to ask ourselves, where did she get it? Did she get it from Glenn Beck's 1994 book on the subject? Did she get it from PragerU? Did she get it from wallbuilders.com? Did she get it from a fucking infographic, a Facebook meme, from a page like the Founding Minute or the Million, I'm sure, that are just like it, printing this false quote for all the other illiterate mouth breathers who don't know how to use the internet to look up information properly? She believes that he said,
but Madison also wrote, quote, "We have staked the future of American civilization upon the capacity of each and every one of us to govern ourselves according to the moral principles of the 10 Commandments."
There's just one problem. She's lying about the fact that he said this. He never said it, never wrote it, has nothing to do with James Madison. There is an actual quote from James Madison from Federalist 39, which says, "It is evident that no other form would be reconcilable with the genius of the people of America, with the fundamental principles of the Revolution, or with the honorable determination which animates every votary of freedom to rest all our political experiments on the capacity of mankind for self-government, period." Self-government. Nothing to do with 10 Commandments. Now, there was a Yale dean in 1951 named Clarence E. Mannion who would quote James Madison. And he said, one of the most erudite of the founding fathers, James Madison, said that we have staked the whole future of our American political institutions upon the capacity of mankind for self-government. And then, over the next 4 years, as Mannion gave speeches like this, quoting Madison, he sort of added his own interpretation on top of it. And on 3rd of April, 1951, when addressing the Pennsylvania General Assembly, he said, self-government means, and was meant to mean, the ability of the individual citizen to govern himself under the 10 Commandments of God. And that was precisely the type of self-government that James Madison had in mind when he said that we have staked the future of all of our American institutions upon the capacity of mankind for self-government. Except James Madison never said that he wanted the government of America to be based upon the 10 Commandments. That was Mannion just trampling on Madison's grave. So for a sitting Rhode Island senator to take this and twist these two quotes together and attribute something to James Madison that he never said is disgusting and vile and is spitting on the grave of a founding father, which is cool, but that's typical Republican behavior for you. They always pretended like they were the owners of patriotism, and they had none deep down. James Madison wrote in June 1778, there is not a shadow of right in the general government to intermingle with religion. Its least interference with it would be a most flagrant usurpation. I can appeal to my uniform conduct on this subject that I have warmly supported religious freedom. Its least interference, i.e., placing the 10 Commandments on the government property, that would be the sort of thing which he would consider a flagrant usurpation. So why are you trying to besmirch this man's name with your own personal repulsive views by pretending like this man, who would have hated you, by the way, wanted to base the government on the 10 Commandments, when this is quite literally the opposite of what he wrote every time the subject came up? How disgusting and shameless do you have to be? This is not even a thing you can get wrong by accident. This is something you can get wrong if you get all of your information from social media infographics. That's the only way. It's not possible. And then this person has the nerve to use the words historically illiterate towards anyone but herself. It is inhuman levels of dishonor. And at the end of the day, it's just sad. It's sad that someone entrusted with the public trust. It's sad that someone invested with the public trust would be so callous and apathetic and negligent and lazy as to just misquote a founding father to further their own selfish and personal belief system in order to create this world where you get to intertwine your religion and the government and shove it down the throats of people who don't want it? What does that serve? Who does that serve for you to do that? And what does it say about you that you want to do that? How insecure is your belief system? And how insecure are you that you have to live in a world with people who don't believe in the same afterlife as you? You are a Rhode Island senator, a sitting representative of the people, and you don't even care to leave Facebook for your information as far as I can see. I have no idea where you get these quotes. I have no idea where you got Tyson deGrasse's information. Unless you watch that fucking Joe Rogan podcast where he talked about leap years, and that's why you brought up the Gregorian calendar. I don't even know how, if you watch that podcast, how you could have got his name that wrong. This guy's not like an archaic figure. He's very well known and very popular. How do you call him Tyson deGrassi? Did you read Tyson, deGrassi and just not edit it in the script you were reading off of or whatever you were doing? I don't get it. How do you care so little about the things you say on the floor of the Rhode Island Senate? You should care. If this is your job, you should care. Your job is to convince the American people to take you seriously and that you take it seriously. And you do this. What a joke. She grounds a lot of her opposition by trying to argue that the Declaration of Independence grounds rights in God, by leaning on that line in the Declaration of Independence, where all men are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, despite the fact that she notes no specific religion is called out in the Declaration of Independence, as she would say, non-sectarian. However, the Declaration of Independence, one, is not what we cited. She pivoted to a completely different document because she knows she's wrong on the issues. And two, it's not the founding document of the country. The Constitution is, which is what we cited to. And the Constitution is very explicitly a secular document. Despite noting that this is non-sectarian, she will later go on to try to justify having the Ten Commandments be the basis of our government based on a fake James Madison quote that she got from who the hell knows where. And at the end of this section, she has this line where she says there's a big difference between being religiously neutral and non-sectarian. I don't know what weird twisted turn of phrase she's trying to use. I think she meant to say there was a big difference between being non-religious and being non-sectarian. Regardless, it completely misses the point. The Founding Fathers bent over backwards to make it very clear, both in the Federalist Papers and in the Constitution itself, that this is a secular government where no religious group is going to be given favoritism, because that was something they suffered with back in Britain, in the British Empire. That's something they couldn't stand. So whatever cute turns of phrase this lady wants to use, or whatever fake quote she got off of social media, because that's the only media literacy anyone has nowadays, including our sitting state senators, it's all disgusting. He then spends a tedious amount of time not even arguing against the resolution itself, just bringing up the names of scientists who personally believed in religion to argue against this fake straw man of the resolution of faith is irrational, which is stated nowhere in the text. And also missing the point of science. Did you know science is when if a scientist personally believes something, that makes it true? I know that's what I learned in school. If a scientist personally believes in God, that means it's scientifically proven, basically. All those peer-reviewed papers that all those scientists are publishing, proving the existence of God. Oh, wait. Whoops. Oh, yeah. Well, wait. That's the point, isn't it? That's how we determine what's true or not. Not what a scientist personally believes. Although, unironically, this is how these people make life decisions. You can see this with a lot of the RFK stuff, or the cherry picking the one doctor who will agree with them on something. It's very concerning and very disturbing, and makes me a little bit jaded. She also complains about the resolution containing contentious political issues.
The resolution mentions contested political positions, but highly rational, scientifically literate people disagree on some or all of the topics mentioned in the resolution. I would say, calling a political agenda reason and the opposition unreason is not a celebration of critical thinking. It's the very opposite of it.
And doesn't name any of them because she knows she's wrong on all of them, and does not have the conviction to argue on the merits of any of them. For example, there's not a lot of issues listed in the resolution, but for example, there is climate change, which the idea that anyone would refer to that as a contentious issue is kind of the reason for the resolution in the first place. We don't feel there's enough respect for science and the pursuit of truth, rather than the convenient stories you like to tell yourself that are compatible with your pre-existing personal beliefs. So these are the kinds of things that we think the resolution is meant to highlight. And she's kind of proving our point by saying this. Probably one of more related to the contentious political issues she was complaining about are the civil liberties for all, including people who don't look just like you and who don't share your same exact lifestyle. I know that really grates Republicans when you try to give civil liberties to people that they don't care about. I know that makes them emotionally very uncomfortable, but if you don't like it, you should live in a country where people don't have rights based on their sexual orientation or, gender identity, whatever else you want to complain about. And also, it talks about the respect for the rule of law and for democratic institutions, where if you don't care about those, don't pretend to care about the Declaration of Independence. You would fit right in with the British loyalists who were backstabbing American patriots back in the days of the Revolution. So I don't want to hear you vaunt, or is vaunt the right word? Hold up the virtues of the Declaration of Independence while also giving the side eye to the idea that we would refer to the contentious political issue of democracy and institutions and process and rule of law. She refers to us including these contentious issues by saying that critical thinking is when you include all ideas, actually. So the idea that we would put forward our position on these issues as truth means that we're anti-critical thinking because we're attacking her worldview.
Calling a political agenda reason and the opposition unreason is not a celebration of critical thinking. It's the very opposite of it.
Did you know, by the way, I don't know if you knew this, some schools forget to teach this. Critical thinking is when you're not allowed to criticize your opponent as having unreasonable beliefs. Did you know that? No, that's not true, is it? You're allowed to criticize other people's beliefs. It reminds me of the time I was arguing with this girl in college about politics, something that she had posted publicly, and I said that her opinion was dumb, and she said that by me calling what she said dumb, I was attacking her freedom of speech. It's that level of illiteracy and stupidity that we're dealing with this sitting Rhode Island senator, by the way.
I have no quarrel with reason.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't.
None of us should. Reason, critical thought, the scientific method.
The scientific method, by the way, she used to get that fake James Madison quote from a Facebook infographic. Or to the scientific method she used to prove the existence of God by saying this number of scientists personally believed in one.
These are all genuine goods, and they deserve recognition. But I do take issue with the premise of the resolution. A premise that is stated quietly, not overtly, not even directly.
It's actually not stated at all, but yeah, go ahead, mischaracterize the resolution.
The premise is that faith and reason are enemies.
No, it's that reason and people who deny that climate change is man-made are enemies. But go ahead, insert yourself into it.
Again, that faith and reason are enemies.
Let me repeat this again because it's not actually stated anywhere in the resolution. I really need you to believe that it is.
And that's simply not accurate. The premise is not only wrong, it's historically illiterate.
Says the person who thought James Madison thought the government should be based on the Ten Commandments. Because of a quote from 1950s she thought was from 1700s.
Let's start with the founders themselves.
Just 200 years off, lady. Good job.
Invokes them. The resolution says that founders insisted upon the primacy of reason and knowledge, and that is true. But it leaves out some very important points.
Tell me all about it.
The Declaration of Independence, the moral foundation for our republic.
Yeah, we didn't cite the Declaration of Independence because it's not the founding document of our government. The Constitution is, you know, that thing that you guys pretended to care about until you wiped your asses with it and threw it out into the garbage. The Declaration of Independence was us stating that we were done being trampled on by the British Empire and having our rights trampled, and so we declared we were becoming our own sovereign nation. You could kind of say that we have our moral principles in there, but she's really trying to hype it up, and the only reason she is because of that one line that says man is endowed with inalienable rights by a creator, and she's really leaning into the creator. She wouldn't care otherwise.
Does not ground human rights in reason. It grounds them in God.
Wow.
And, quote, endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights.
And it doesn't say God, it says their creator. It leaves it open to whatever you believe the creator is, intentionally, but she uses it because in her mind, it's all about her God, right? It's a Christian nation. These Republicans all believe this.
The Declaration was, however, clearly non-sectarian.
She will concede this because this doesn't matter to her.
There's a big difference between religiously neutral and non-sectarian.
Again, I don't know what she means. A difference between religiously neutral and non-sectarian. Technically, those two terms actually do mean the same thing, but what she's trying to say is that there's a difference between being non-religious and non-sectarian. But she has to weasel around so much because she's a dishonest snake that she can't even say the right words, I guess. I don't know why she used that twisted turn of phrase.
Now I turn to science.
Fucking weird.
We all love science.
No, you don't.
Because if we're going to celebrate reason and scientific progress, and we should, let's be honest about the progress and where it stemmed from. Many scientists, I'm not going to claim all, But many scientists who built the modern world...
Did you know that many people believe X? Like, who eats this garbage up?
To name a few, were people of faith.
Well, many doctors say that this treatment was actually good. It's like fucking 5% of them. Like, these are who lead us now. Well, she's the minority leader, so not her. But, like, on the federal level, this is the kind of thought that leads us right now. Keep that in mind.
Probably pronounced his name wrong. Was...
Pronouncing names wrong is hardly the worst thing she does.
The first person who proposed what we call now the Big Bang. Did you know he was a Catholic priest?
Why would I care?
Johannes Kepler, the laws of planetary motion, a devout Lutheran.
Who cares?
Isaac Newton wrote more about theology than physics.
That's okay. His theology was not peer-reviewed.
And he considered his scientific...
scientific fact. It's not how that works.
...as an act of worship.
Good for him. Happy for him.
Michael Faraday, who gave us electromagnetism. He was a deeply devout Christian.
Not the electromagnetism guy. Oh, no. What will I do?
This one I learned by Tyson deGrasse.
She never learned this from Tyson deGrasse. Some staffer wrote this. It's not possible. I'm telling you, it's not possible. And also, what is the Gregorian calendar? It's not some, like, super scientific, super fucking accurate thing. We need a leap year every 4 years to make up for the error. It's like 365.24 blah 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 days in the year instead of 365, and even the leap year doesn't make up for it. Every 100 years we have to do another day or something. She's, I don't know what the obsession with the Gregorian calendar is as some like scientific marvel. It's not some phenomenon of the universe. It's a measuring system that we constructed to be convenient for us. I don't understand.
Calendar.
It's because the Christians made it or something. Like who cares? That's fine. You can have it. Fine.
We use in this modern world.
We're not even arguing about the resolution. She's just trying to say how faith is based. It's like, good for you, dog. No one cares.
Jesuit priest, mathematician.
A mathematician.
Calvis, commissioned by Pope Gregory.
Please ignore all the popes, or the one pope, I guess, who put Galileo in prison for saying that the sun did not revolve around the earth. Please ignore that and pay attention to the Gregorian calendar. It's like, good argument, bro.
The resolution mentions contested political positions, but highly rational.
She pauses for 10 seconds there.
Scientifically literate people disagree.
By the way, the scientifically literate issues that people disagree about are climate change, whether gay people and trans people should have civil liberties, not even anything specific related to, like, should they have vasectomies, blah, blah, blah. It's just, should they have civil liberties? And then rule of law and democratic institutions. If you have problems with 3 of those, if you have problems with climate change, that's scientific illiteracy. If you have problems with the other 2 of those, that's just moral failing, to be clear.
On some or all of the topics.
I don't even know if that has anything to do with science.
I would say, calling a political agenda reason and the opposition unreason is not a celebration of critical thinking. Do
you know that critical thinking is when you're not allowed to call your opponent unreasonable? If you're doing that, did you know you're shutting down their freedom of speech? These people are so vapid. Again, who eats this slop up? Like, the idea that critical thinking is when you're not allowed to be mean to me or attack my ideas. That's literally the opposite. We're allowed to call you unreasonable.
It's the very opposite of it.
No, that's not. It's not.
Madison on knowledge.
She's so dumb.
Madison also wrote, quote, "We have staked the future of American civilization upon the capacity of each and every one of us to govern ourselves according to the moral principles of the 10 Commandments."
He never said that. A fucking Yale dean in the 1950s said that, and now this dumbass thinks that James Madison said that because he quoted Madison in the same sentence. Everyone but me is historically illiterate, by the way. So, inhuman,
Madison
dude.
did not see faith and reason as enemies. Neither did Jefferson. Neither did Washington. And using them as a cover.
They did, actually. Well, Jefferson did. Washington was very religious, but he also supported separation of church and state.
The honest account for Western civilization.
They all were pretty religious, but they also, and this this person is historic illiterate herself, so she has no idea. They all fucking hated the fact that the British government, the empire, and the church were so intertwined. That's why they wanted nothing to do with it, because Roger Williams came here to avoid persecution by the British government for forcing their religion down everyone else's throat. But this person doesn't give a shit about that. She wants to do the same thing here. And then she has the fucking nerve to invoke the Declaration of Independence, as if she's not a fucking British loyalist herself. Fucking Tory.
Is not one of faith against reason.
Modern day Tory.
Faith and reason. And for that reason, I will be voting no on the resolution. Thank you.
What a moron. I will say
Senator Zaria.
This senator's response is pretty good.
I'd like to thank the minority leader for proving the validity of the resolution. She demonstrated how a number of proponents of reason, as listed in the resolution, also were people of faith. And the resolution does not say anything against faith. And she's correct to note that some of the founders of our country were people of faith and reason. So was Roger Williams, for that matter, here in Rhode Island. Any reasonable reading of this resolution is.
I love how this guy smiles when he like smashes her argument into the mud so viciously. So thank you for pointing out how based our resolution is by accident by your terrible arguments, because we support the idea that a lot of the people who support separation of church and state were religious people, even though you don't. So thank you. I love this guy.
Completely compatible with that point of view. And I think it's an unreasonable reading of this resolution to find a conflict that doesn't exist.
Exactly, because the resolution, and we can bring up the resolution real quick. The resolution says nothing about religion is irrational, blah, 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 blah. It is a whole 2 pages, and nowhere will you see the words religion is irrational. What a dumbass, dude.